Good day, Paul Sterling here, author of the bestseller Argue Less, Love More, and I've been a relationship coach for the last 20 years. And what I want to do is give you some of the secrets that I've learned that help transform relationships. So most likely you're here because something's not working in your relationships. There may be too many conflicts or misunderstandings or upsets, people taking things personally or making them personal. If this is you, this may be the most important video you're going to watch in a long time. And what I'm going to try to do is in the next few minutes cover all of this without making it overwhelming. And the difference between what I'm going to show you and what you've normally learned if you've gone to workshops and Cosmo and any other places, a lot of therapy even, and therapists are really well intended and a lot of them are really good, but some of them are missing this key point. And if you miss this one out of 3 key points, so I'm going to give you 3 key points, a lot of times your relationship communication will fall apart. And when your communication falls apart, so does your relationship. So I'll tell you a tiny bit about myself, and then I want to dive right in because there's a blank board here and I want to fill it up. So again, Paul Sterling. I wrote the book, Argue Less, Love More, but more importantly, I've been, for the last 20-some years, a relationship coach and helping people have breakthroughs in all sorts of relationships with all sorts of issues, anywhere from jealousy, affairs, communication problems. And I didn't start out to be a relationship coach. I actually went through 1 divorce, 3 broken engagements, so almost every possible mistake you can think of, I have made. So let's dive in and discover what I've discovered, because I ended up studying with some amazing mentors. I studied with Tony Robbins and Robert Kiyosaki and Marshall Thurber, Byron Katie, and each one was a turning point. One of the biggest turning points was a guy named Marshall Rosenberg, the late Marshall Rosenberg, who created nonviolent communication. And it was like a light went on. And if you think about it, if you've ever put together a crossword, not a crossword, but a puzzle, jigsaw puzzle, what's the most important part of the jigsaw puzzle? It's the cover, you know, the box cover, because that's where the picture is. And up until then, no one had ever shown me a picture of what makes relationship communication work. So today, what I'm going to do is show you a picture. So you may want to watch this several times, show you a picture of what makes it work and what makes it not work, relationships in general. And there's 3 components. So here we go. And if all 3 of these are not working, you end up with this, I call it the perfect storm. You'll have to forgive some of the spelling here. Perfect storm, that's where you end up with a relationship from hell. And it can destroy even of the best of the relationships. So number 1, this first circle is all about communication. And so we're either above or below the line, this line. If we're above the line, both of it, there's compassion and understanding and empathy, and both of you feel HUV. You feel heard, understood, and valued. What's that like when you feel heard, understood, and valued? So below the line is, I call it the blame game. And that is ineffective communication. It's combative, destructive, defensive, and basically at the end of it, neither of you feel heard, understood, and valued. So this is like, I call this, monster number 1, which is poor communication. So monster number 1, monster number 2 right here, and I'm going to divide this into 3 parts. And this part is your needs. Why are you in a relationship? At some levels, to get your needs met and to help get your partner's needs met. But we, in our culture, have a very poor relationship with needs. So here, in this inner circle, there is this belief called my needs don't matter. And that's an unhealthy relationship. My needs don't matter, neither do yours, and we're going to have this battle about it. And then the second one is I have needs shame. I think needs make me feel needy, so I'm embarrassed and ashamed, and I want you to meet my needs, but I can't talk about it and can't ask for it, so hopefully you'll read my mind, and if you don't love me. So that's the other challenge. And then the last one, and this is the healthiest one, you see your needs as beautiful. An interesting spelling there. Anyway, you see your needs as beautiful and your partner's needs as beautiful, and you see your relationship as the ability to contribute to your partner and help them get their needs met and help heal them. Because this is a wounded planet. Most people come into the relationship, we put on our best face, and then as the relationship evolves, we end up showing our wounded side, and it ends up getting messy at times if we don't understand that. So then there's this third part, which is, I call it the triggers. And this is the three different parts of the brain and how it affects the relationship. So there's not like you could divide out the brain and say, here are the three different parts, but here are the three functions that have the biggest impact on your relationship that the brain does. Number one is the relating part. And the relating part, hopefully you can see my little heart here. The relating part leads with love. And then there's the reasoning part, and that leads with, and this is my little Einstein here, that leads with logic. And you can see this tends to be a more masculine side and a feminine side, and this can be a battle right here, but that's not the biggest battle. The biggest battle is what comes over here, and this is our reactive side. It's this side right here. It's our reptile brain. And its job is basically to try to protect us. So its job is about safety and protection. It does not care about happiness. When you're leading with the relating part and love, happiness is really important, connecting. When you're leading with the reasoning part, you're leading with logic. And when you're in the reactive part, you're leading with fear and loss. And the problem with the reactive part is it can't tell the difference between discomfort and danger. It often takes the person that you love the most and turns them into the enemy. So being able to tell the difference between your allies and your enemy. And when you think it's an enemy, what kind of communication do you move into? You move below the line into combative, defensive, destructive communication. And so when you're in the reactive part, or your partner's in the reactive part, all of these communication tips and tools and techniques and the 5 rules and the 6 steps and all that, out the door. It's gone. What are you worried about? Safety and protection. Enemy, push them away. Be defensive. So here's the perfect storm so you can see this. When communication moves below the line, when our needs are not being met, and we don't know how to ask for them, in fact we're ashamed of them, and we're in our reactive side, that's when we end up in the perfect storm from hell. So what I do is I've taken, over the last 20 years, I took all of the things that I've learned, and this is not all of it, but this map right here, 70-80% of your upsets, you learn about this, they're handled. In fact, just even learning the model so that your partner feels heard, understood, and valued, and you do, that's a huge chunk. Knowing what to do when you're in your reactive state and your partner is, how to get from reactive to reasoning, back to relating, back to connecting from the heart. Amazing. Moving yourself from my needs don't matter, and neither do yours, through the shame of having needs and feeling needy, because we all have needs. That's why we're all here on this planet, to meet each other's needs and to get our needs met. And then to get to that place where we feel our needs are beautiful. That's an amazing thing. So let me give you an idea of who this works for and who I typically work with. So this, at the top, we have passionate partners. At the bottom, we have reluctant roommates. And normally we start up here and something happens and starts taking us down. And this starts taking us down. The more time we spend over here, the less hopeful we get. In fact, at some point we feel hopeless and helpless to make a change because we don't know what's going on and we don't know how to solve it. So I work with 3 groups of people and see if you find yourself in here. Number 1, and this is actually the smallest group. They have good, but they want better. They want to fine-tune their communication tools. The second, stuck in a rut. They love each other, but the way they communicate's not working, and they tend to have the same problems over and over again, and they're stuck in their patterns. They're stuck in a rut. They don't know how to get out. The last one, couples in crisis. Should I stay, should I go? They're at the edge, and they still love each other, but they really feel helpless and hopeless, and they don't think it can change because they don't have the right tools. So I'm going to tell you a silly story. I was driving, I've taught this anywhere from university professors at Naropa in Boulder, Colorado. That's teaching counselors, therapists, professors, and I've taught it in prison. So it's worked anywhere from there to there, worked with at-risk youth, and mostly with a lot of different couples in one of these 3 stages, my private clients. But I was driving and I had gotten something stuck in my teeth and it was driving me crazy. My tongue was in there and I'm like trying to get it out of my teeth, and then I find a business card and I try to use the business card and the business card gets wet. Now I've got a piece of business card stuck in between my teeth with the piece of food, and finally I pull over after like 20 minutes of trying to get this figured out. I know it sounds ridiculous. It probably wasn't 20 minutes. But I look around and in my car, I find a toothpick. When I have the toothpick, how long does it take to get the business card and the piece of food out? It takes about 30 seconds because I have the right what? The right tool. And this is overwhelming until you have the right tool. Communication tools, so you understand there's 5 main mistakes here. You understand what those 5 mistakes are? It will transform your communication, because what will happen is you will stop making these mistakes and you will avoid about another 50-60% of the upsets. Not all of them. But then you'll learn some tools to resolve them if you make them. Then over here, there's 7 core needs. There's a lot more needs, but there's 7 core needs. You learn what these 7 core needs are and what your partners are and their formula for getting them, which need of theirs is a priority, and all of a sudden your relationship goes to a whole nother level, the level of intimacy and understanding and connection transformed. If you understand what triggers your partner and what triggers you, you'll spend a lot less time in the reactive mode, a lot more time in either reasoning and especially in the relating mode. So come and join us. It's 3 intense hours. The information is probably down below or on the side or wherever it is. There is a early bird special, prepayment special. It's trying to encourage you to act now, because the brain is a procrastinating thing and it's going to do anything it can to put it off. I'll sign up tomorrow, I'll sign up later. Don't do that. Do it now. Make this commitment to yourself, your future, your relationship. These skills you can use whether you're single or in a couple. You can use them anywhere you communicate with people. Like I said, I've used them with at-risk youth. I've used them with prison inmates. I've taught these to counselors, therapists, professors, and lots of couples. It is transformational. Thank you for taking the time and energy. I so look forward to seeing you at our next event. Have a great day. This is Paul Sterling, arguelesslovemore.com. See you.